Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hope it's a good day for you guys. We just had a good day. We streamed Lancer earlier today, but I guess you're listening to this on the Wednesday, so we streamed it on Sunday. You could catch the VOD probably in some sort of link form below.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because Calvin will put it there. Yeah, that's where Calvin puts the things.
I will definitely put the link to our whole actual play playlist below, where you can go check out all the previous episodes and the most recent episode, which thus far has had our highest concurrent viewers, which is very exciting. Glad people are coming to this channel for Lancer, and I'm now that I'm getting more comfortable with the game, it's cool just having people come in and just like, I don't know, listen to it, I guess. Because again, like I've talked about this before a billion times, but just like I know how these days watching actual plays is a major way that people figure out if they like a game. So it's a lot of pressure, but I like to think that people are coming here to see what this whole game is like. So I hope we're representing it well, and I know people are entertained. So I just want to keep entertaining people and representing a cool game.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm glad that people are enjoying the bullshit I produce. Sometimes I feel like I'm just making it up, but hey, are we all?
That's GMing.
Are we all just making it up? Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is a podcast. A podcast about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them, and our experiences with either side of the screen to hopefully make it easier for people who are interested to, hop on the other side. We want to take a casual approach to GMing any sort of game in any sort of system, whether it be Pathfinder, Starfinder, or Lancer. So that's sort of the intent of this podcast. Of course, if you have any specific questions about, running your own tabletop RPGs, is there something that you feel is holding you up, that one specific thing you feel like you're not prepared for, or anything like that, just drop it in a comment below. We'll check it out, and then we can maybe squeeze that into a future episode and see if we can't help you out.
Yeah, definitely. And let's roll right into the okay, wait, how do I say this?
It's a long
It
name.
is the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
You got it.
Got
you
it.
got it in one. Nailed it. I feel like it needs more words now. Now that we've both memorized it, it needs more words.
Yeah, we need to add super special, awesome Win with Dice GM tip of the week extravaganza. That would be
Extravaganza.
Maybe once a month we'll do that one.
Just all tips, all episode.
Yeah.
We need some W adjectives to really
really flesh it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But
so,
the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
Yes. As per usual, I didn't think about anything until right now. So off the top of my head, fresh right off of today, don't be afraid to ask your players how they think something works. I use that a bunch in the stream, actually. Mm-hmm. I mean, usually if you're, the fear is that, you're supposed to make the ruling because you're kind of impartial, but also you're afraid that the players will, not take an impartial stance, will try and game the system in their favor, right? But often I find that people come up with a very fair conclusion to a problem, right? So, it was in this instance, spoilers, somebody was had a core power and was attached to another player, and I was able to grab the person who was attached to that player, and we were wondering whether or not, would both of them go, or would just one person be pulled off? We didn't know. So I just asked my players. I legitimately didn't know. So, and I think there's a precedent to just ask your players, because if you just make a ruling that isn't in their favor, then it's whatever, you're just trying to win. Your players might take it the wrong way. But if they come up with a solution that also could hurt them, and it does hurt them, then that's fine, because it was their fault.
Because it's their fault. Sure, I guess that's one way to put it.
It was their idea, sorry, not their fault. I mean, I mean, it sucks to suck, but like,
I mean, like it's nice to have, because I've talked about this before in one of my campaigns. Like, it's nice to have another person there who like is very familiar with the rules and is, you know, willing to take the L sometimes if something isn't ruled in their favor, because, you know, I mean, especially on stream, it's definitely stressful, but like anytime you're running a game, like you want to keep things moving, you don't want to stop. Like if someone, like if you stop to look up a rule or something that you're uncertain about, then the whole game stops basically. Because like you're the one who's cranking all the gears and everything. Like you're turning the dials behind the curtain there. So like if you stop, then everything stops. But if you have someone who is familiar with it or can make a good judgment call, then it's a lot easier. Like you can just say, if you have that one person you can look to and say, hey, can you just look that up real quick? I'm gonna move on to this person's turn so that we're not sitting here looking at me scrolling through a PDF or whatever.
Yeah, definitely, and you know, it's like helping your players kind of get the feel of DMing a little bit as well, right? So it's like making those split-second rules decisions, you know, getting comfortable, which is kind of making stuff up right on the spot, right? That all can really help, you know, a player who's like, you know, interested in DMing, but it just like, or GMing and is like hesitant because of all the, you know, the mysteries and the smoke and mirrors that we have up, where it's just like, you know, it's mostly just panic.
Well, don't give it all away.
Don't give it all away. Right. So yeah, that's the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week for you folks. And yeah, we're getting better at it. Took us nearly a year,
but we're getting there. This is what, episode 47 we're on now, I want to say. I don't know.
Maybe 48.
Sounds about right. No, yeah, you're right, 48. Jeez. Wow.
Calvin, how could you? You have to edit this later. You're gonna be so embarrassed. Okay,
yeah, I'll know. I'll edit my voice out so it sounds like I said the right number, and then I'll just scrub this entire section.
You just put like 48. You just change it to an automated voice.
No one will ever know.
Right. So yeah, the first, maybe the only bit we get into, depending how much I blow through this, is I would like to go over the Lancer stream we just did, because it's fresh in my mind and it's fresh in my heart, and I'm so excited. Actually, I had lots of fun personally running that game. It was definitely a step up from the last session I ran. Not that it was bad, and my players didn't find it bad, and everybody watching was like, that was awesome. But for me, it felt like a little bit of a failure in the last session just because of it kind of dragged, and I don't want a game to drag. I never want it to feel like it's not dynamic enough and players aren't getting to their turn fast enough. So that felt like a failure on my part because I front loaded a bunch of NPCs on the board, and I was just like, and I was just fighting myself, and I was like, I don't like that. I'm not into that. But no, this session was great. So we picked up off of the last session where the boys, the Win with Dice boys, or the Lancer Win with Dice boys, we don't have a name for our Lancer team. They're just
the team. I kind of want to open that up to the comment section or the audience somehow. I don't know if anyone wants to drop any ideas, or if we'll think of something by next session, maybe. I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We do need a name.
We should put. Yeah, comment down below if you have an idea what our Lancer team name should be, and maybe we'll like gather them all and maybe put it to like a vote on Twitter or something like that, or maybe we'll just pick it if it's that good. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a cool shout out. Definitely would be cool. So the Lancers, they were actually in the middle of a battleship fight. They were fighting a battleship. Yes. Because I thought it would be cool to say, you sunk my battleship. Like, legitimately, that's the reason why you guys were fighting the battleship.
Well, it was cool, so like, yeah.
Yeah. So, the fight was long. I mean, it was an ultra, so it's a big boss, and then I put a bunch of other things. That whole fight was a lot of enemies, I think. Even though I staggered them out, and there was never like too many enemies on the board at a time, it just felt like you were also chewing through an entire battleship's worth of HP, right? And I did that in consideration because like it was so large, it was like large size 5, size 6, that I also consider it to be like an object. So there's tons of systems where are in weapons and abilities that just say do X number of damage to objects, right? And they're usually like something crazy like 10 or 40 or 100, right? So I was like, okay, one of these people is gonna deal with this ship, right, pretty easy. Which I think Corey has a system of like his core power lets him do like 40 damage to a thing, and I was like just automatically. So he just dealt with it a little bit, but it was just a lot to slog through. And so right at the tail end, I think it was the Nerishira was like, or the battleship they were facing, the SS or the BS Nerishira, was on the retreat. They were trying to run away, and you savages kept trying to kill it.
These guys are probably the worst people we faced so far. They're literally stealing water, all right? The other guys were like, oh, we're doing evil stuff over here in our own evil corner of the universe. But no, these people came into someone else's house. Well, I guess the first people did sort of come into someone else's house. But no, that place was abandoned before. And then it was just some pirates, and pirates or whatever. But like these guys, they came into this planet and they started stealing the water. So yeah, we're going to go out of our way to mess them up.
Right. And if you didn't check out those previous sessions, yeah, they're on a water planet. So it's like 95% water, and everything's covered in like this shallow sea. And they're stealing the water with a giant space tower, the giant straw.
Giant space straw.
The giant space straw just sucking up all that water. You gotta stop them. So that's what the players are here to do. And they had a battleship, and they sunk it. It was like a combination of Sekhmet finally being able to get her teeth into the stupid battleship.
Oh my gosh.
and just slap the crap out of it, as well as I believe our friend Magenta Orangutan finally able to land another shot with his siege cannon on it. And then right at the end, at the crescendo, we had Slade, who's piloting a goblin, our hacker, used Last Argument of Kings and just turned its massive heat cap into 10 burn damage, which just basically ignited the ship. I like to think of like he literally was like he just pointed his finger into a finger gun and the ship just blew up.
Basically,
because he shot the hacker memes at the ship. So
we're getting better at teamwork,
and
or at least we're getting more effective at doing damage to a bunch of stuff or one thing that we're focused on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I had no doubt that you guys could take the battleship. I think that like the whole previous session would have gone way faster if I just had less enemies to deal with. Like if I only had maybe the Nerishira and 2 accompanying subs, that whole fight would have been kaputzed like an hour earlier probably. But that's just me. It's just like I think I need to pull back and have less enemies on the board, just because like I need to make more encounters. I think it's like I can't build like less encounters, I just need more, and that's how I'm going to challenge you guys, not just having more enemies in an encounter.
So more but smaller encounters is what you're like aiming for. Exactly.
Yeah. So quick, like I don't know, the book says that it should take only like an hour right per encounter. And I was like, I don't know, man, like every other D&D encounter is like 2 hours or whatever. So like going just based off of like regular like other RPGs, like fights usually take a while, but I think if I more strictly stick to the 1-to-1 ratio of fights, then it goes by really quick. There's just less for me to think about too. So anyway,
and I guess that's the thing that just comes with like practicing over and over again. Like now that you've done multiple sessions and you kind of got a better gauge for how long combat might take, you get a better idea of, well, how do you balance this out, which is the thing you kind of have to feel out pretty much for every game.
Yeah, and I think Lancer specifically, unlike Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, it's really more about the secondary objectives. I think anytime you can add an extra layer of like terrain or objectives or like timing or anything like that. Like Lancer really, because the action is so quick, it's like you only have 2 actions and a move to do a thing or whatever, right? It feels really dynamic, and mechs go down really quickly. It's like it's like takes it really takes advantage of those rather than just you fighting a horde, right? Like a big bag of HP. It's like I don't think Lancer's good like that. I think Lancer's better when it's just like squad versus squad. That's how I want to see it. It's not like squad versus army, right? Yeah, squad versus squad. It's like you guys are the elite fighting the other elite.
Yeah, or at least a number of amateurs.
Yeah, exactly. A number of semi-professionals. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so they sunk my battleship. I'm pretty sure I have a cataphract that decided to yeet out on the other side of the screen.
Yeah, that one guy that we all forgot about because he was just like hanging out in magenta orangutang's shadow.
Oh
so
my
just this
gosh!
small mech under a mech the size of a building.
I mean, he just honestly, like, that man has so much luck. I should be hitting him way more often with his stupid Barbosa, but I just roll crap on him, and he's becoming like.
Hey, you rolled a lot of ones this game.
I did. It was a lot of ones. Yeah, you guys would have
10s.
been toasted. Yeah, you guys would have been toasted if I was able to roll higher. But hey, them's the bricks. Sometimes the pendulum swings in the player's favor, which is good. It means you guys are badasses. So Cataphract escaped on the other side of the screen, and then a submarine escaped. So I don't know, maybe they'll show up later. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. And what else happened? That was the end of the encounter. And you guys got a short rest. Which was really funny because everybody was thinking about using repairs, and you guys secured some extra repairs and some extra, I guess, things for the ship that allows you to heal HP. But then you forgot, after all of that, you forgot that you had the talent.
Grease Monkey
what's
3.
it called?
So I had a
Grease
ability
Monkey
in my mech that was able to sort of like help people repair their mechs without using up any of their resources, which I missed. Because I had to like go back and read my sheet. I remember that it works for certain things in combat. I just forgot about that particular thing. So that's why I was looking. I was just going through my sheet looking to see like, do I have anything that I can use during downtime? Let me just make sure. Oh, it's only a short rest. So let me see if I have anything that I can use during a short rest. Oh, here's this one particular thing that I clearly invested into, but never came up. I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
because I have used like
stuff for. Oh, well, you took that for aesthetics because you're a literal grease monkey. You're like a mechanic, right?
Yeah, I think my character aesthetic as it started off is kind of like very like veering away from where she is now. So I don't know. She's gonna. Well, I don't know. She'll go back home to her the junkyard or wherever she grew up, and then she'll just show up there like as this like internet celebrity instead of this dirty grungy mechanic, and then she won't fit in.
Well, I mean, I kind of think of you're like a DIY YouTuber. Like it's like you just teach people how to build mechs and salvage stuff. That's what your thing is, and also to kick ass and pilot giant robots. That's also the other thing you do. So it's like a cool combination. I think people are into.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm having fun with the character.
Yeah. So. After the repairs and all that flim flam, you guys, the ship entered the stormy waters and was trying to navigate through and ended up into the nest of a bunch of giant Krakens.
Yeah. So we finally got into the thing that I have genuinely been wanting to do since like the first time I played Lancer, which is giant mech versus giant creature. I'm just like, because of Pacific Rim, like that's my thing I fall back to when I'm thinking about mechs, because I never watched a whole lot of mech anime, so I don't really have that mindset in place. I just, I know the aesthetics of it. I don't know it specifically, but Pacific Rim, oh man, I was all about that. Never saw the second one. I heard it wasn't good, so but that first Pacific Rim movie, I could watch that a million times. So Yeah, I've been really wanting to fight a giant monster. And now
Yeah,
there
you got
was
to
three.
fight three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was three of them. Three giant Krakens. They were giant squids. And they were mad that you were in their nest, and it was an escort mission, but like a modified escort mission. So they're all on the ship, and whenever it's the player's turn, they get to move the ship like they're moving in escorts or whatever their base speed is, but they can't boost with it. And I think I took out the part where if an enemy is engaged with the ship, then like, or the escort thing, the objective, you're not supposed to move until the enemy gets off of it. Like, nobody can move it. But I took that out because I was like, you're a big ass ship. Like, it's not like you can't move through the Krakens. It's just gonna, encourage, Overwatch and stuff like that from them, right?
So yeah, like it is the typical like there is escort mission rules in the Lancer book. I think we might have partially discussed it when we were creating that one shot. But like with any other game system rule, you can just adjust it to fit whatever sort of mood or setting or situation you're doing, or like what you want to fit into, because there were a lot of hazards on the field as well that were also slowing us down.
Yeah. And I liked that it kept the team together, because often we would have everyone kind of spread out. Well, specifically, it's like everybody and then Magenta at the back. But because you guys all had to be on the ship, it kept everybody together, and it was able to, like, the action never felt like it was split. It just felt like, everybody was working together, and all the enemies were fighting each other. Everything was like concentrated, which awesome. I love it. I love the horror effect of a giant tentacle monster like wrapping around a ship. Like, that's what I want, and it happened, so I'm happy. Which, I don't know, I think everybody had fun based on the reactions everyone had while play. That was really fun. So yeah, their goal, sorry, I don't know if I said this, but their mission was to escort the ship to basically the other side of the map. And there were like these jagged rocky islands that would block passage, as well as two whirlpools kind of situated in the middle of the map. And the ship can move through it, but it would be at as difficult terrain. But if any of the players fell in it, they would have to make a hull save, or not to get dragged to the middle and basically just smashed around as like the swirling water smashes them up against the rocks and stuff. And they can make another hull check on their hull check on their turn to save and get out, and be able to get their movement back. So it only happened twice, which is surprising. In addition, if at the end of the round, if a Kraken is adjacent to the ship, because they're all kind of wrapped around it and kind of rocking the ship, and they're all fighting on top of the decks, so they had to make an agility save to keep their footing, or else they'll slip and fall off into the water. Which was, I think, hilarious. I think everybody also enjoyed all of those things. I don't think it was too bad. Like, people weren't groaning about it. They were just like laughing about it. So I'm glad. And gets back on the ship, just uses your movement. You just have to end your movement on the ship square, and then you're back onto the ship. But you can't continue your movement.
It wasn't as rough as the, rough as in like damaging as the other narrative situation we went through. But yeah, I did very much enjoy this one, especially considering like the danger. It wasn't as significant. It was definitely like a unique issue, because then you had to move to get back on the ship, and a concern we had as we were moving forward is like, if someone's in the water and we keep moving the ship ahead, are they going to be able to catch up? Are they going to be able to survive? Because there's two big whirlpools and 3 Krakens in there. Are they going to attack someone, or are they going to just keep following us? Or, like it was sort of like they were in a dangerous position, but they could still be saved as long as they were able to think smart and we were able to think smart. It could still work out, and I really like that balance of it. It didn't feel like falling in the water was instantaneous failure. It was certainly like you were on the edge of the tightrope at that point, but you could still get out of it, which is something I liked.
Yeah, definitely. And the only, well, okay, I'd say the only bad part is like if the ship got to the finish line before you, or like the time ran out and you weren't at the finish line, you would take a structure and a stress because you would just be fighting off Krakens and eventually you get out, right? That's what narratively would happen. And so there wasn't even this like someone could have just leapt off the ship and tried to fight the Krakens themselves and kind of bought time, right? Like that was totally a thing that somebody could do. But the Krakens are super fast.
Yeah, they really are.
I was like, wow, because the problem too I had was like I can't make it too long, so it's like because then it would take everyone forever to get there, right? And then you guys get stopped by the Krakens. But I think I made it too short, or maybe just the right amount, because you guys, the whole point was that the Krakens are supposed to stop you guys right next to the whirlpool. So in case you guys fell out, you guys would just be like, oh no, I'm in the whirlpool, right? It was like, which did end up happening twice actually at both whirlpools. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, it was tons of fun. I also had the Krakens didn't know what they're attacking. They just kind of slapped around the ship, right? So I had I just rolled a d6 and chose who to fight. I left the NPCs out of like the actual combat. I just left them as a target that can soak up some damage because I was like, you know what? They're like busy trying to keep the ship together essentially, right?
Yeah.
I was like, and it was cool because honestly, unfortunately, poor Garth and Haltrav, they soaked up a lot of damage and ended up losing their mechs, like 4 whole structures in between the both of them, right? And that could have been a player.
It could have been. Well, but the thing is, like, that's still useful in a way. Like, I mean, even last combat, like Haltrav, one of the NPCs we recruited in the previous episode, go check out how that happened. He didn't have his weapon, and Garth, he was better at hacking, but these are like organic enemies. So, just being able to take a shot is still a useful thing. Which I don't know if we can convert that into another TM tip. Maybe just find a way to make your NPCs useful if their original use doesn't work. What else can you contribute?
Yeah, and I think it was more of a supporting role too. It really, I wanted them to be. I don't want the effort you put into getting these NPCs on your side to be wasted, right? I want you guys to get something out of it, like, So that was very successful. Also, like shout outs to Autoloader Drone for tanking like 5 hits somehow.
Poor drone.
Because it was a target, right? So I added it to the list, and it got targeted a whole bunch of times, and unfortunately the Kraken missed a whole bunch. Mind you, these Krakens were elite, so they were going twice. So there's 6 enemy turns, right? And I'm surprised you guys didn't get murdered. I was rolling really bad.
You really, really were. And I mean, also, there was a lot of, like, I mean, definitely for me, there was a lot of, like, me checking in, like, okay, is this person going to be okay if we move? Do you have a way to get back on the ship? Do you know what you're going to do? Do you mind if I do this thing? Because I just, I wanted to make sure everybody was, like, in a secure space. It didn't always work out. But certainly there were times where it did come in clutch, just, making sure your teammates are all right or doing something that'll benefit everybody. Because there was like moving the ship or something like that.
Right, and everyone was rolling pretty okay, except for when it came to making those agility checks, and everyone kept falling into the water, which was
Listen,
pretty.
Man, we are tough. We are not agile.
No.
We're strong.
No
we'll lift something. You want to smash into us? We'll stand our ground, but. You want us to do a flip? Well, can't help you there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there was a cool moment where you chose to pop your core power, right? And you activated your core power to your Omni grappling hook and grappled everybody Omni hook, yeah. So you use your core power to everybody within 5 to just grab them and pull them back onto the ship. And you managed to pull a Kraken onto the ship, which is hilarious.
Yeah. So like my mech has an ability. It's like a once per session or once per mission kind of thing, where it can just like pull a number of people like next to it and knock them down and stuff. various damage and stuff, RPG stuff. But what ended up happening is part of it was me pulling some people who had fallen off the ship back onto it. But also I pulled a whole Kraken onto the ship, which I guess we ended up taking with us because every time I tried to get up, there was something else keeping it down or keeping it from moving.
Yeah, because at one point it was because of your ability, it was stuck for a turn, and then it got shot by somebody else, which knocked it prone. Like, it was like, it just kept not being able to move, and I ruled that, the ship just keeps going, so you guys and the ship just chugged along. Like, you just literally fisherman that thing, hooked it, dragged it onto the top of the deck.
Look, they shouldn't have tried to fight us.
Yeah,
frankly, it was their fault. Which is,
well, what do you mean? You're in there. They're like, I think I called them. They're like Canadian geese. If you've never dealt with Canadian geese before, they are mad territorial, especially on nesting season. And you would never know where their nests are, but they'll just come at you if you even look in the direction
on a path where you live.
Yeah, they will show up and terrorize you. So yeah, that's what you did. You showed up in there and they just Canadian geese.
We're the geese. I was gonna say because I was like, I don't know, we kind of roughed them up a bit, but I guess if we're the bad guys in this situation.
Well, yeah, you guys are the bad guys. You guys are trespassing in the Krakens territory.
Look, we just needed to go through it. It was going to take like 1 sec. If they had just been cool about it, we would have all been fine.
Tell that to the geese, Calvin. Tell it to the geese.
Look, don't start none, won't be none. That's the rule these Kraken should have lived by.
Well, yeah, so, the fight continued. We saw Steven use the all-powerful siege cannon direct fire, which does so much damage. Finally, Corey was able to get off, I think, a couple of shots with his laser cannon and actually structure a squid and the Kraken. And I played them as like. Also, you know what I realize I don't typically do in Lancer is run away. I should retreat more because it makes more sense. If something doesn't want to die, why would it stick around, right? So I just I had it set to if the Krakens took a structure, which won't kill them. I mean, there's not likely to kill them. There's like a 1 in 6 chance of killing it outright. It will just. The first thing it does on his next turn is just leave the battle. Like, it just dives back down, right? So, even though they're elites, they didn't actually, the party didn't have to get through 6 structures worth of bad guys. It was just 3. I think that was fair. Seeing how you guys had to literally chop down like a giant redwood tree of a battleship last time. So, make it a little bit easier. And what else? What other cool things happened? Oh, Joel or Goblin was basically useless except through a bunch of lock-ons. Poor guy.
Yeah, because his thing is mostly focused on like hacking enemies, and he's really good at it. But like, you can't hack an organic enemy.
Yeah, can't send someone memes if they don't have an email address, dog. Or whatever. So everyone ended up making it to the end of the encounter, actually all on the ship, because who was it? I think it was Mako, Corey's character. He got the last shot off onto the Kraken, and actually it took Mako taking that shot, as well as I think Joel got a little bit of extra damage and just enough to make it so it died. So it was a combo right there with this little autopod reaction attack.
We went in with an escort mission and came out with like another thing.
But that was probably one of my favorite combats actually so far that we've ran. Like, I think all of the battlefield terrain effects were on point. All of the other effects of like thinking about, okay, well, how do I keep staying onto the ship? It was less about like, I need to make sure my ride's still good, right? I'm going to be able to get on my ride. The the Krakens also, I stole the pirate trait. I just made them that there's a pirate template, and I gave them the pirate template because they have the pirates have a boarding leash, I think it's called. It's basically just like a hook or like a whip or something, and you can throw it, and if it hits and they fail a hull save, they are now dragged towards the enemy and is grappled. So that's like, oh, that's a tentacle. So I was like, the tentacle attack, like it reaches out and like yoinks somebody right off of the bow. And that only happened like twice though. You guys are pretty on point for the hull saves. I think you guys. Also, I missed a lot with the tentacle, actually. I remember I rolled a lot of ones.
Yes, those were a lot of the low rolls you got.
Yeah, it was insane. I rolled 2 1s in a row, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I messed up the macro. I was like, did I put this in right?
But you didn't. You just rolled low. It happened to you, finally.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. That's the Lancers. That's what happened this session. I was super stoked. Calvin was stoked, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I had a lot of fun with that comp. Like, again, what I like about Lancer is, of course, like you said before, those secondary objectives. The system's really, like, because they have the rule set for it, so you really are able to lean into those other objectives instead of just, like, blowing up a bunch of people. It's a thing you have to do. So we had to get that ship to the other side. And there were things that we had to manage, things that had to be changed, like the ship moves with our movement speed, but we gotta look out for the rocks, we gotta look out for the whirlpools. The Krakens are way, way faster than us, so we gotta deal with those. It was all like a series of unique dangers, along with the danger of falling into the water but still being able to save yourself. That's just sort of, added up into a good encounter. I think people are gonna be really excited to listen to it, or watch it, or however they interact with the episode. Just because, it's a different kind of thing than most. Even in Lancer, I think it's a different kind of thing that we ended up doing. So yeah, I will put myself down as stoked.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I always find that I'm picking apart Lancer's systems. I'm always like, but what if I do something different? Like, yeah. Which is good, but I think I need to kind of rein it in a little bit and maybe make, small changes here. Like this whole mission was highly experimental compared to other stuff, I think. So, I'm still trying to find the balance between my own homebrew nonsense and like running the game how it was, laid out in the rulebook. Maybe not intended because, any game system is just whatever you want to use it for, right? It's not like if you're not using all of the rules, you're not playing the game. You definitely are playing the game. Don't ever think that. But, I kind of want to maybe pull back a little bit on my craziness and maybe bring it in maybe once in a while, right? So it's like a more special, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, definitely the rules exist for a reason. That reason really might not even be to bring structure to the game, but more so to evoke the certain kind of feel that the developers want and the sort of tone that is expected out of the game or out of the genre.
Yeah, like, giant robots fighting squid. That's exactly what they planned the entire game around.
This one very specific thing that we did with moving a bow. That's what they really intended for this RPG to be about.
But yeah, no, for sure. Like, I'm still having tons of fun with Lancer. I'm so happy I get to play it, and I'm so happy that I get to stream it on the channel. So yeah, go check it out.
In the description. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What else can we discuss this week? Is there another Lancer thing you want to cover, or did you see that the latest Matt Colville video?
Yeah, wait. What did Matt Colville talk about? I watched it and I literally forgot about it.
I listened to it this morning, so it's still a bit more fresh. Well, not actually. No, it was last night. Never mind. It's probably not as fresh as I thought it was. But he was sort of discussing guns in D&D and using that as a springboard topic to discuss the overall concept of just designing something for your tabletop RPG game. And the way he was running through it was like creating a gun as an item, less so like a class or like a class ability, but just like an item that someone can use. And then it was a question of like, how would it work? What would it have? What are the benefits and drawbacks of using this thing? And then he just walked through the design process. Spoiler for the video, he did sort of like go through a whole thing for like a few minutes. I don't know if it was like 5-10 minutes. I don't know. It's been a while. You can watch the video and find out. But no, it was a while. It was like 10-15 minutes at least. But he did go through like a whole thing of how it might work, and then ended up just like scrapping that. And I kind of found that a very like that. I think that was the thing I took away most from the video. Like, I don't know if I would use his rules for how he made the gun. I did like one or two of them that I might maybe adapt in the future. But I thought what was really interesting was how he went through the whole design process on this thing. And then he eventually reached a point where he's like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out how to make this idea work, not going back to the original intent of why am I adding this in the first place. Which I think is like a pretty good lesson for anyone doing homebrew stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Now you jog my memory. Definitely, I definitely watched that video. By the way, I'm just too much Lancer in my head right now. Yes, as a person who, takes apart systems and create magic items all the time, that's like the fun of the game for me, is being that GM, game designer, home brewer. That's definitely where I live. I mean that's the process, right? You're like, what is this supposed to feel like, or what am I trying to emulate? And then it's like, okay, so how do I translate that into math, like the dice math? And then you make a thing, and you're like, maybe that's too powerful, or maybe that's too weak, but you're never gonna know until you test it out, right? I mean, you could do a little bit of math and get the numbers or like the bell curve right, but unless it's in a player's hand or you physically go and roll some dice and test it out and use it yourself, like it's hard to tell when something makes sense or something feels good, right? What you want is something to make sense and feel good. That's hard to achieve for sure. And you're never going to get anything right on the first draft. Same thing with making campaigns or running encounters or building a plot out the first time, right? There's always these growing pains, and there's always like these steps you have to fumble through before you understand, right? Again, like I nearly killed my players in narrative section in Lancer. Like actually, like they were like at 1 or 2 structure, 1 or 2 HP. Like it was bad because I made things too hard, and then I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean that's
was the first draft.
That's the thing that you encounter during testing. Like you realize, oh, this might be too difficult or too easy, or I didn't account for this particular variable and rule. I don't know if it's easier when you have something to bounce stuff off of. That might probably help. That was something that did come up in the video. Yeah, like it is a skill to learn. Like that's why he is a game designer in his actual career. I think he's a game designer in his actual career. I might be off on my Coville lore.
He's been well, Coville lore, his resume. I believe he definitely worked as a game designer, and then I think he then moved into game writing. Like he was a writer at Turtle
Yes,
Rock.
I was trying to remember the name of it. The one with the
that was his last corporate job, and now he's running his own gaming company. Yeah, tabletop gaming company. So producing all that kind of stuff. That's gonna be us one day. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But all my ideas are crazy.
That's why.
Maybe. The problem is, Calvin, is like I have to use the ideas on you, and you have to be surprised at it, so I can't tell you about it.
Well, Ramon, we just need more subjects. This is why we need a Patreon, so people can sign up with our Patreon so they can play in a game with us, and you can test your crazy ideas on them.
Yeah. Then I could show you, like, I killed all the Patreons today. Maybe I won't use that.
Why did all our patrons suddenly stop? Suddenly just disappear? What happened in that game? Oh, you killed them all. 30 Krakens.
30 Kraken, yeah. 30, write down 30 too many Krakens. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the gun design was cool. I was like, if I was doing guns, I think I would do that too. It would have to be something wild where it's like, it's either you like kill somebody outright or you just miss, and then it's like all kind of silly.
Like he was describing different mechanics between he was trying to evoke a certain feel for the for a gun, something that might sort of fit within the aesthetics of D&D. So he was going for like more of a Western feel than like a musket feel or whatever. So like there was the option of like standing still and taking a single really good shot, or sort of like firing all 6 shots off, and then they don't do as much damage or are less accurate or whatever, but you can hit multiple targets.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was like the duel or the run and gun.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's like, are we in a shootout or are we in a standoff? Which is, I don't know. It just makes me want to actually play
Red Dead.
Like a Western, but like a hardcore Western, like a sci-fi Western, or sorry, not a hardcore Western, I should say historical Western, a sci-fi Western, or a fantasy Western. Ooh. I mean, yeah, maybe when we get Pathfinder running again. I think, is it out yet? I don't know if the Gunslinger, the book of the Gunslinger class is out yet. I don't think that's out yet. I want to say August or September, but don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure. I can look it up. Yeah, we'll look it up and maybe. But yeah, that's what I want to add to my game. But I kind of want to have a game where everybody just has guns. Well, it's like you guys are like in a Western, Gunslinger but it's campaign. Yeah, but also like there's a dragon and it's like, shoot out with the dragon. The dragon has a gun and he's like, howdy. Like, yeah, it's like, what?
Whoa, gun dragon. It is September, by the way, for the Guns and Gears book for Pathfinder 2nd edition. I was thinking of Secrets of Magic is out in August.
Ooh.
So,
yes.
you know.
What is it? Yeah, I want to play Cowboys and Dragons.
That actually sounds pretty cool. That might be what your character in Tim's game is getting up to whenever he disappears.
Maybe that's where I'm getting this itch from, because yes, I do play a cowboy wizard. And Tim so graciously has allowed me to break the aesthetic of European fantasy so I can, be a rootin' tootin' cowboy wizard. Yeah, which I really appreciate, because Sorona is tons of fun to play, and I like the goofiness he brings. he's a little goofy, which is what I like, but also kind of scary too, because
he's a wizard.
He's a wizard. He can just be like, take my finger bolts of doom, and you're dead. Like,
yeah, wizards and your magic. But yeah, no, I did like some of the stuff he was doing. I don't know if I would use it because I kind of want to see what's going to be in the Guns and Gears book first. I did like he said something like when you reload, you get maybe like a D6 bullets back. And I kind of like that concept, like a D6 plus, so maybe it's like a certain skill or ability modifier or something, probably to a maximum of 6 or whatever. I like that idea, just because it's a matter of like, because you have to load each bullet in manually, so can you do it quickly enough, or are you focused enough to do it? But I like some of the stuff he was doing. I just think the best thing that I learned from that video was just sort of like needing to let go of some ideas if they're not working out. Because then, like when you're to the point where you're focused on, like, how do I make this mechanic that I thought of work, and not, does this mechanic, like, does it make people do, what I'm trying to encourage them to do, like the kind of behavior I'm trying to encourage them to go through. Does it fit with that? And I think that's also a really interesting thing about game design. That I also, I don't know if I can, I guess that's a thing you learn as you do it, like how to get players, like how to encourage players to act in a certain way without punishing them for not acting in that way.
Yeah, it's encouragement, right? You're encouraging them to, emulate the thing that you were trying to emulate, and like get the feel of like why you were so stoked about it in the first and why you created it, right? But also for it to like line up with the utility, so they want to use it, right? It's like, that's why I love making magic items. Magic items in Pathfinder. I mean, the magic items in Pathfinder 2E is fine, right? They have really good magic items. You could just go based off of the book, but I always like to give players a special magic item that's more attuned to them as a character, and let that be like their signature item, like a signature weapon or a signature armor or like a signature magic item. I want people to feel like they are special and unique snowflakes. That's what I want them to feel in here. Take all this cool stuff. Yeah, plus it's really cool because I can take it away, right?
Well, I mean, I'd rather you didn't.
Thieves are everywhere. Yeah, thieves are everywhere, right? Who says when you get knocked out or down, someone doesn't just take your cool fancy sword and just yeets out of there, right? But yeah, there was some design put in for one of in the pirate campaign, our friend Payne's character Ray. He has an axe named Jojo who's possessed by the demon of said name. And I was like, what would a demonic great axe, what abilities I would give it, right? So before Jojo was inside of the axe, Jojo was possessing a chair leg, because this is,
like you do.
It's Pathfinder, so I get to, you could do whatever. Yeah, it's that's where he ended up, and he's like, yes, as soon as blood touches me, I shall be released. And then, through shenanigans, Ray managed to kill somebody with a chair, and then the chair leg became a club, and it basically had the ability to just once per day, you can just had a free attack with this club. And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, he's pretty strong, but it's only like a d6 damage or whatever. And then he ended up killing somebody again by accident, and he was pretty sad about it, so Jojo got even more empowered. And the player was pretty excited that Jojo was, like, his character wasn't excited, but the player was very excited that it happened again. And then, he's like, okay, but I want, Jojo's fine, but I want it to be in my battle axe. And I was like, okay, sure. We'll find like a dwarven runesmith, and he transfers the essence of Jojo the demon into this rune that's now on his axe, and he becomes Jojo the axe. But I kind of wanted the melee weapons in Pathfinder. Like they have a layer of being different types of weapons. So like some weapons are better, like axes are actually better at fighting trees, like tree people, because tree versus axe. Or like some axes are better at, because it's heavy, it's able to like swing better. So if you attack a character that is adjacent to the first target, you actually get a bonus to that, because it's a wide arcing thing, right? So following that kind of design process, I wanted the axe to have a bunch of different abilities that like Payne could draw on once per day, that was focused on dealing damage, right? So, and I wanted to give him cool names, so I gave him one like I forget what they're called now, but one's like, I think one's Devour, where it was like after dealing damage to somebody, he gains that much damage in temporary HP, because it like sucks their blood out, because the axe is eating them slightly, because it's like a demonic axe. I think the other one's like Slaughter. It's like if he downs an opponent, he gets a free attack. He gets to move and make a free attack to somebody else. Yeah. I think it's either I think it's as a reaction, so you can't use his reaction for the turn, stuff like that. I think there's a third one too that does cool things, but I don't recall what it is. So that's kind of the design, where it's like, Payne can choose what gives him a little bit more utility, but it's all in one package. It's his axe, right? And I know Payne's never going to not use that axe, because typically that's what players do. They just have the one thing that they use all the time.
Yeah.
And
like, I know the game sort of like, these games are like built and encouraged for you to like buy new gear and find new gear, and oh look, there's a magic weapon, throw away your old thing. But I kind of like having a thing. That was sort of like my issue with Macy, is like, I don't want a better mace, I want this one.
Yeah, right. And it's a pretty dope mace. And I was like, I'm glad you came to me, because I was definitely into that mace. I was like, yes, I like this idea of this ancestral mace that has a connection to you. It's kind of like, King Arthur's sword. You pull that shit from the stone, the man's king. Like, I like the idea of that. So, also like tons in like, not just King Arthur, but like tons of myths have like the hero with his trusty weapon, right? It's like the weapon is as important as the hero, like Thor and Mjolnir, right? It's like Thor wouldn't be anybody without Mjolnir, and Mjolnir would be anybody without Thor. So it's like Macy wouldn't be Macy without
the mace.
her mace, and the mace would just be a paperweight without Macy.
I think Pathfinder has alternate rules for that sort of thing, but yeah, like I was having this discussion, I was like in comparison to Mutants and Masterminds versus other systems, and what I liked about it is that it lets you be you. It lets you create your character, and then you can upgrade your character and stuff like that, but you don't have to like get rid of the things that make your character special. Unlike most of these other games that have such this incredible loot focus, it's much more focused on how do you as a person get better, how do your superpowers expand, versus like how does your equipment expand, how do you get better equipment that you might see in like Pathfinder or I guess even Starfinder a bit.
Yeah, but it's different though, because it's not, none of the gear is like focused, if I should say. It's more generic, right? It's like a lot of the times like you want to improve your gear to improve your stats, right? It's like you want a magic sword so you can hit better and do more damage. You want a magic piece of armor so you can tank more hits, right? It's like harder to hit you, right? A lot of times instead of defaulting to the cool option, which is like, I don't know, this sword is like, or like this armor will give you better thing, but it increases your movement speed. But it's like, well, I don't want to get hit, because if I don't get hit, then like I'll survive, right? Or like this armor does something very specific, and it's kind of fun, but it's not that utility, right? That's why I like to just make up stuff for characters that are specific to them. Maybe not specific to them, but like are just kind of cool. Because another one is quick wit. Also, if you're making up cool magic items for people, give them names, because it's fun. Yeah. It's fun. It makes the weapon feel like, a little bit more badass. But quick wit is a spell storing, which I don't think actually exists in Pathfinder 2e. It might be, I don't remember, but it's a spell storing rapier. It doesn't have any bonuses to attack to it. It doesn't do more damage. What it does is if someone casts a spell at you and you're able to resist it, like with a save, then quick wit will capture that spell. It doesn't matter what spell it is, it'll just capture it. And then you're able to launch it back at somebody if you wanted to, whenever you want. And the idea of it is, it's like depending on the type of spell, like if it's a necromancy spell, the blade is black. If it's an evocation spell, maybe the blade is red. Or if it's like a fire spell, it's like, looks like it's like shining a little bit or something like that, right? It's like whatever's stored in the rapier is what color the blade is. And it's like, there's a cool kind of flavor to it. It's definitely it's very useful fighting spellcasters, obviously, but it suffers on the damage front, obviously, because it doesn't do any extra damage. But if you're like a cool swashbuckling spellcaster in a magic duel, could you imagine just dueling like another mage and they cast fireball at you and you just like stab the fireball and then suck it up and it's just like, ha, and you launch it back as like a retort. Like, I mean, man.
Any chance to take a mage down a peg is, a good thing in my book.
But yeah, no, that campaign is probably, the Pirate campaign is my favorite with magic items I've created so far. I'm actually pretty happy about that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I want to expand on this magic items I create. So I don't know. I'm always drawn towards giving them some sort of weird effect instead of just like, here's a +1 sword. I don't know. It's too easy. It's too obvious. It's got to be something special. It's got to do something weird that nothing else does. That's the kind of magic item that I'm drawn to.
And sometimes you just want to make it so simple. Like, oh man, I love, my favorite thing so far is the demon net. It's just like, will capture a demon, period. No ifs, no buts. Like, you toss that thing, and it will capture a demon. It doesn't matter if it's like a pit fiend, or I mean, I guess like demon, call it the demon net, but it's like a fiend net, so you can catch demons and devils and evil extraplanar creatures, essentially. But it's like, it's just a very, very light, thin net that is able to keep evil at bay by just lightly tossing it on it, which I think is hilarious, but also cool, because it's just like a really strong magic item, and it's super useful only if you're fighting those kind of creatures. Like, you know.
Yeah, in that specific situation where you're fighting those kind of creatures, I mean, like we saw when we actually used it, the way it just held down this all-powerful demon, but we had to get really lucky to use it. I mean, yeah, it's just like a very cool minor thing. Like that's a cool item. Like it just has like this one specific effect, but when it's used, it is incredibly useful.
Yeah. I mean, but it also only catches one demon, right? It's like if there's two, I don't know, the other demon can just take the net off. Like it's not that strong of a net.
No, it's really not.
It's actually,
well, you know,
it's actually very thin and breakable, except if you're caught underneath it.
And or a demon. As long as there isn't two, then I think we'll be fine.
Oh yeah, you know actually
sure
where I got the idea from, since I think we might have mentioned it on the last episode of like where our ideas came from. I think it wasn't Kung Fu Hustle, but there was a very funny. I have to remember if I remember
it because I don't remember this.
No, yeah, but it's a spoof on a kung fu movie like Kung Fu Hustle, but it's like there was a portion where the main character gets caught by like a really really tiny net. I want to mean tiny. It was like barely bigger than like his chest. Like it was like it was a very very small net, and there was an extended scene for like 30 seconds of him like struggling in this net. He's like, no, I'm stuck underneath this tiny net, and he's like, and the camera didn't pan or anything, just staring at him, just struggling on this net on the ground. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And then when my wife Abby's like, yeah man, we should get like a demon net, and I was like, yes. Finally.
The perfect inspiration.
Yeah, right. So, you know, stuff could come from anywhere, man. Like
yeah, but like even that design, like you had the sort of idea in mind of how, like, what this is being inspired by. So then it's like, well, how do you translate this into a game logic? It's small, but it's super effective. That's exactly what it is. All right. Well, I guess we ended up talking about design a bit, which is cool. Sort of veered off topic, even though I didn't really have a topic in mind specifically.
Well, hey man, I think that game mastering, part of game mastering is game design. You are like the, it's like being a carpenter and knowing why tools are made the way they are, right? Like the tools that you use. So it's like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I definitely agree that you are a designer if you are a GM. So shout out to all the GMs out there and their games and stories they're designing. But I think that's about it for this episode, unless you want to say anything more about custom items. I think we can hop into the wrap-up this week. Okay.
Yes, wrap it up.
Well, I'll include the link for Matt Colville's video that we were sort of inspired by for that tangent, so you can go check it out for yourself. I think it's really interesting just to see that process. I don't know if it's like super duper entertaining as a video, but it's definitely like a very interesting thing to see, like behind the curtain, how that sort of process works out, because you can apply that to any sort of game design, video game, board game, whatever. I think there's a lot of interesting lessons to learn from that if that is something you are interested in doing. So yeah, that'll be linked below, as well as, of course, our Lancer episodes, which I just talked about. Most recent one will be in the playlist by the time you're seeing this on Wednesday, I should hope. I'm sure one of us will do that by then.
Yes.
So for sure, go check that out. Check out our other Lancer episodes, especially the most recent ones, the last few. I think they're definitely like the better ones. Just because we were kind of finding our footing with those first couple episodes, but definitely the latter ones, we really hit our stride, and they're really good.
Oh, yes. I remember the film now. I searched it up. The movie's called Kung Pao Enter the Fist. It's from like 2002, man. This movie's hilarious.
Well, go check out that movie. I guess let us know what you think about it. I've never seen it, so hopefully you find it funny as Ramon did. So yeah, go check out that movie. But before you do, be sure to drop a like on this video if you liked it, and maybe hit that subscribe button and of course the bell so you get a notification every time we upload a new podcast episode and every time we go live. Check us out on the socials, the Twitter at Win with Dice. There we just post a lot of that's where most of the updates are, so if you want to know when we're going live again, it'll be announced on Twitter, and I'll try to make it noticeable at a good noticeable time. As well as our website, winwithdice.ca, where you can go check out all our old posts, all our old episodes, as well as some exclusive art drawn by our friends and players in our games. You can go check out our artwork there, as well as some other cool stuff that's on our page. And I think that about covers it for this episode. Ramon, do you have any last thing you want to add?
No. Thanks for listening, folks. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. We got some positive feedback during the stream, and I'm still riding the high of that. So I don't know. It is really nice to know that people are appreciating the things you're putting out. It's just like a great human feeling. So I will say before I go into our catchphrase, the most important part of the episode, one thing I do want to say, this is just a life advice kind of thing. If there's someone out there who's making something that you like, just giving them that one positive comment, you can absolutely make someone else's day. So keep that in mind if you see someone who's doing like art or writing or whatever you like. Giving them that positive feedback is really, really a big boost to their confidence. And another piece of advice that I think you all should remember is to keep on winning with dice.
All right.
And with that, we will catch y'all next week. Stay safe, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.